Business owners, you need to engineer virality in order to get attention onto your product or service and get sales. The problem, most people do not have a clue how to actually go viral. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to do it scientifically. So here is some examples of content I've posted for myself. So you can see across TikTok and YouTube, I've had hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of followers. I know what I'm doing when it comes to getting views and sales through content. Not just that, every single brand on screen with me has paid me between 4 and multiple 5 figures to do digital marketing. And here's some testimonials in case, well, don't just take it from me. Here's some testimonials on screen from some of the brands I've worked with. Okay, so this video actually comes off the back of a new client I've started working with, Prana Chai, which is a massive B2B wholesale chai distributor worldwide. And in our kickoff call, like in our first meeting, I was speaking to one of the co-founders, and they were saying that they want to help with their social media strategy. They want my help in terms of going viral. And he said he wanted a scientific process for it. And I thought, you know what, that's a really, really good way of evaluating how to go viral. So I thought, okay, cool. Let me showcase a little bit about what I know to them. And in this video, I'm going to go through some of the concepts we spoke about. I'm not going to talk about all of it because obviously this was a paid client. I don't want to reveal all the information, but I'm going to give basically some breadcrumbs that you can take away and implement yourself that will be really useful for your own brand or business. We're going to talk about the holistic strategies for how to engineer virality through content. So what I like to do is I like to treat it like a science experiment. And that's the reason he said actually like he wants a scientific way of going viral, because the way I talk about content, the way I talk about digital marketing, it comes from someone that's got a background in science. I studied engineering at Imperial College London in university. I did A-level physics and mathematics. I've always been that way, sort of wired. So I always look at stuff and data from a standpoint of, okay, how can we assess this scientifically and evidence-based to be able to come to a logical conclusion? So if you look at a science experiment from back in the day, depending on how old you are, you may have to cast your mind back multiple decades, but you've got control variables, you've got independent variables and dependent variables. Control variables will be stuff that you do not change. You keep this the exact same. Independent variables is what changes in every experiment, and independent variables is what you are tracking. So if we look at this simple plant growth experiment on the right hand side, the independent variable is the light color because that is what's changing every single experiment, but the dependent variable is the plant height, as that is what we are experimenting, that's what we're measuring for. And then control variables is water, soil, temperature, and then of course whether it's day or night. And then once you do this experiment, you'll be able to come to a logical conclusion as to what color of light determines what plant height. So if we look at this from a social media standpoint, each video posted needs to have one independent variable so we can properly analyze what is actually moving the needle. So when I look at people making content, right, a lot of times they're posting videos haphazardly, hoping something sticks, which I appreciate. I completely understand that when you start with social media and digital marketing as a brand, you don't really have an idea what's going to be viral. So you post content hoping something works. I completely understand that. However, in the game of hope, we're not making any progress. Really, we need to treat this like a science experiment and determine what is actually the independent variable we're changing every single video and what is a dependent variable that we are measuring for. So I'm going to take some example from my own software, Verlo, that I co-founded. So not only do I do digital marketing for other brands, I've actually applied everything I know and built it into my own software, Verlo, to make my life easier as a digital marketer for my clients. And I'm going to give some examples of how Verlo, my own software, we do this when it comes to creating content to be able to get people to obviously buy into our software. So if I look at some of the different ICPs for Verlo, we've got social media marketing agency owners who can see trending industry videos through Verlo. TikTok shop creators can find video inspiration. E-com marketers can validate products and create copy. And then app developers can find winning UGC to utilize for their own marketing. Now, all of these different people are different ICPs, are different personas that we could target through Verlo, right? But the trick is, if we targeted all of them in one video, we don't know what's going viral. So let's say I posted a video that did really well on TikTok and it had 500,000 views, but it talks about all of these 4 things in that one video. I don't know what actually caused the virality. That's not engineering or scientifically understanding what goes viral. When I talk to brand owners that I partner with, when I talk to my friends that also want a little bit of support and guidance via their channels, and they had the video go viral, I asked them, okay, cool, well done, it's gone viral. Do you know why it went viral? And they'll go, the hook or something like that. Okay, cool, what caused the hook to go viral? And they're clutching at straws because they don't have an idea why it went viral. And that's a big problem because you don't want to be a flash in the pan. If a video went viral but you don't understand why it went viral, this is not a repeatable process. There's no point in going viral if you have no idea why. Everything needs to be treated like a science experiment. You have to understand why we set this in place, why we create this content in the first place, measure what happened post posting the content, and then understand, okay, this happened after posting the content, that's a good thing. This didn't happen, that's a bad thing. Now we can change some things up and go again in the future. So instead, when you post content, branch out. So now when I make videos on my own TikTok page to promote Verlo, you'll notice every single video targets a different ICP. So one video will be about SMMA, one will be about ecom, one will be about TikTok Shop, one will be about UGC. So it changes every single time on purpose. Why? Because I want to see what video did really well. Because if we get to it where the SMMA video got 500 views, ecom video got 20,000 views, TikTok Shop 1,000 views, UGC 1 million views, then we can go, aha. When we talk about SMMA, doesn't really seem to resonate with that audience. Maybe they're not in need of Verlo. When I talk about ecom, did pretty decent, 20,000 views. TikTok Shop, not great, 1,000 views, but UGC, 1 million views. That tells me the UGC market clearly resonated very well with Verlo, especially if the messaging was fairly similar across every single vid. That means when I talk to the Verlo team, my developers, my co-founder, etc., we can say, hey, when I spoke about UGC, that did really well. That's definitely a market we need to tap into more. Let's exploit that angle. That's looking at things from a scientific standpoint. What can we control? What are we measuring? And what are we changing each time we post? So if this is making sense, but you want help implementing this for your business, let's say that I'm making complete sense right now, but you're thinking, okay, cool, I need someone to bounce ideas off of. I don't really know how to implement this for my business. I don't want to get it wrong. You can check out the first link in the description. Over there, you've got a video basically explaining who I can and can't help. Then you can book in a call directly with me and we can discuss exactly how this process would work for your particular business. You also want to test scripts. You see, when it comes to scientifically engineering virality, it's not all about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You want to test different scripts. That includes the hooks, the body, the call to action. Now, I'm not going to go in depth in this part because this is something I reserve for my clients about the actual hook body CTA structure we run and something I talk in depth with my clients. So out of respect to them, I'm not going to go in depth with this part. But just know that when it comes to scripts for your videos, don't be looking to just do the same script every single time, expecting different results. You're going to want to experiment as well within the scripts to see what hook works really well, what call to action works really well, and the body as well. Obviously, there's some inclinations of what works well, having been in the industry for a while, but you can never guarantee virality. So the way to do it is to scientifically test until you find something that works and then double down with that angle. Every video needs a bunch of control variables. One independent variable, so that can be the ICP, whether you're targeting ecom, TikTok Shop, etc. The hook, the call to action, and then one dependent variable. What are we actually measuring for? Are we measuring for views? Are we measuring for engagement on the post? Are we measuring for sales? What is a dependent variable we are going for? Because I've seen videos get millions of views but barely get any sales for a business. But I've equally seen some videos only get a few thousand views but generate loads of sales for a business. So what are we really measuring for? Is sales the real barometer of success? If that's the case, then we shouldn't optimize for views. If you just want attention and that's it, you're looking at a long-term play, we don't really care about sales right now, we just want as many eyeballs as possible on our content, then is views the barometer we're going for? This all depends, right? You can't be trying to nail views and sales at the same time. Obviously, they come hand in hand. Video with more views has a more likelihood of having more sales, but you can optimize for one over the other. And when you find an angle that works, exploit it. So one of my TikTok pages that got me into digital marketing got to 500,000 followers in just 6 months from launching out. In the first month, it only grew 1,000 followers. 1,000 followers in the first month, and then 5 months later, it ballooned to 500,000 followers. Why? Because I found an angle that worked and exploited it. Then I got an exponential growth. And at its peak, I was getting around 20, 30,000 followers every single week, brand new to the account. So you can see a screenshot from here back in the day, during August time, 21,000, almost 22,000 new followers in just a week on my page. Incredible growth. And that was basically what it was like to have a super successful TikTok page that was just exploiting angles that was working, and then we were just having exponential growth. And that is quite literally the case of where you're pushing the boulder up the hill. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of willpower. Then you just tap it and it just rolls all the way down. And you're like, oh, this is so easy. At that point, you're basically chasing the boulder, trying to stop it rolling so fast because you've got so much momentum. That is what it's like when you find an angle that works. So stick at it, because when you scientifically analyze things, you'll get closest possible likelihood of success. It's like having $1 million behind $1 million. Only one of those $1 million doors has the $1 million though, so you have to keep opening doors until you find it. Don't be disheartened if you open a door and it hasn't got the $1 million behind it, because just know one of those doors will have the money. That's like posting content. If you post, it got 200 views, don't be disheartened, because you're going about this the right way, engineering the virality, and when you find something that works, it will work and you can just scale it. So like I mentioned before, if you want my help on your particular business, then the first link in the description will take you to a page where you can book in a call directly with me. And if you're not quite ready for that yet, but you want some more understanding about how to basically do digital marketing as a brand, then check out a video right beside me as I discuss in depth Blue Ocean strategy, another fantastic marketing method that I personally use for the businesses that I work with and my own software, Verlo. I'll see you right there.